Well, welcome. This is the second of 4 virtual events this year.
We have a very tight ship today. We will have very thoughtful and honest and authentic conversations about the challenges, risks, the opportunities, what's available today, the opportunities, the possibilities for a very near future, different angles. Every session will talk about different aspects with Gen AI multilingual voice applications applied to different verticals and other aspects around process, around regulation.
First, generative AI is going to affect all areas of language work at some point and will increasingly blur categories such as content authoring, localization, and adaptation. Two, the versus in the title made an assumption that made sense when we formed this panel, but what we're seeing now is that existing technologies such as neural MT, TMS, CAT tools are not going to be replaced, but instead will rapidly improve in response to generative AI.
You know, probably one of the important things to think about is, once again, the role of humans in all of this as a user and as a creator of technology. People should be less worried about being replaced by robots and more worried about becoming robots. Domain knowledge, quality, and really intelligence, kind of generally, the ability to kind of critically maneuver is going to be really important for the future.
I brought up also the topic of chatbots as co-pilots. I think it's important not to think about generative AI as just monolithically, oh, it's just another new technology for machine translation, or it's just going to do X or Y, but it's actually going to be very flexible and be able to help humans do their job in creative ways.
Now, on the subject of source documents, I would imagine, indeed, some places source documents will exist. But I think what's going to happen is maybe not as much source documents as style guides, preferences, and kind of the marching orders where the target language should go. What concerns me greatly, though, about the source documents is what we're going to do with translation memories, what are we going to do with our bilingual XLIF formats, and what are we going to do with our CAT tools? I would say jobs throughout the entire localization process will have an element of Copilot.
The language industry is going to be changing so radically that you could think of this as a terminator or as simply the agent of tremendous change. The idea of singularity, I think, is just silly because it's going to be the exact opposite. Everyone is going to have the ability to create multilingual documents. It's going to be the exact opposite of things being centralized. So I think there are incredible opportunities for the language service industry to reinvent itself as basically the keepers of the knowledge that these systems are trained on.
I have a question around how folks are evangelizing stakeholders on the realities of the current AI environment with translations.
The thing that has to be made clear to management is that they're sitting on an absolute gold mine of data. You can really put this into an argument that monetizes it, where you say, if we take good care of our data, if we organize it well, if we continue to collect metadata that's related to the translations, then the world just opens up to us in terms of how we can leverage this data to become more efficient, not only in translation, but also in document generation and a variety of other things as well.
As you all know, there are very few industries as highly regulated as the pharmaceutical industry with policies on protection of patient information. What we looked at was having a solution that could be integrated into that platform where that content would not have to leave and therefore eliminate all that administrative burden.
I think one of the first requirements with the content that we noted was the ability to infuse the model with your own terminology, style, tone, register. I think we did it initially for Canadian French. Once you have this governance framework in place and people understand and are trained on, and stakeholders and budget holders understand that there is a secure solution that they can use at scale within their organization, some of which were MT first and may not have even had any human intervention. And also there were a lot of interesting requirements like customer generated content, so could be patients, health professionals, not always perfect. The input's not always perfect.
In terms of volumes, initially with AWS Learning, we were looking at hundreds of courses with thousands of hours of video content produced for millions of viewers or learners. And crucially, it's developed for release in 18 languages. And some of the challenges with this particular type of video content is the different audience and the styles of the videos.
Then apply advanced and customized AI systems to transcribe, segment, and lay text on the timeline, saving days in originating the scripts. Adaptive machine translation comes into play, with its ability to optimize performance thanks to the translation memories, built, for example, from product descriptions. Finally, AI voices are generated.
And we're using generative AI technology for the speech synthesis. But the interesting thing is we're using real voices that have been pre-recorded by professional actors. Actually, that video here itself was a synthetic voice. And at one point they said segment instead of segment. And so that's something that the linguist could go in and edit to make sure that the pronunciation was ultimately improved afterwards. All in all, the new approach proved to be about 3.5, 4 times faster than the original approach.
Hello, are you ready to start?
Yes, ready. I'm sure it will be a great session.
13,000 games launched only on Steam last year, 151 multi-platform new games released in Europe. But what is important for me to mention is that 41 games only had voice localization with at least one European language other than English. We see that we have many more games. They all require almost simultaneous global releases, and the turnaround is indeed faster.
Let's say this, our generative AI system, we can start using a voice prompt. Then we need to give to the system the expression prompt. So each line is basically delivering a different expression. Then we basically generate a voice file in the target language. At the end of the line, we see that, okay, we need someone that can check it.
I believe that we can create this perfect combination between human and AI voices, and then generate this hybrid solution, for example, where the ancillary secondary characters can be done by the generative AI and the main secondary one instead by the human actors.
Yeah, I agree with that. And of course, let's use technology as an opportunity to give more voice content to all the players of the market. Yeah.
Number one, if the end user detects an issue, how do we decide? Is this a critical issue that needs to be addressed by the linguist right away, or is it something that we can send back to the AI? And then also, before it even moves down the road to the end user or the linguist, can the AI also do some intake evaluation and say, you know what, this content is really poor quality. Can we send it back to the content creator for annotation, for correction, before it even moves down the line? And we talked about automatic post-editing.
So over here, for instance, let's see, I have in the glossary right now, manage as administri, which would back translate kind of as administer. Let's change the meaning to more as far as execute goes. And now if we ask AI to process that, it's going to take all of the information available here as far as context goes into consideration. It's going to implement this new terminology into the translation. And it's also flagging a potential error as well, as far as also being able to provide translators with alternatives. If I ask AI to review and it's suggesting, okay, the verb execute here can have a negative connotation, so it's better to use the verb JC.
So I'm going to start by sharing a black screen. Just listen.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow.
So if you were blind, there would be no way for you to be part of the experience that everybody was talking about. This is what it sounded like with the audio description.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
In the audience, Will Smith laughs. Beside him, Jada rolls her eyes and clutches her hands together in her lap.
That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Uh-oh, Richard.
Will Smith walks onto the stage and slaps Chris Rock.
Oh, wow.
So audio description is not mandated by regulation. Some of the things that are difficult about audio description is you need to identify when you can talk. You can talk over silences, but you can also talk over, music or ambient noises, but you don't want to talk about dialogue. So there's a lot that goes into it, which makes it not achievable for at scale. And that's where we're trying to leverage more and more technology solutions so that it could be used more often. So synthetic voice is one, and identifying the spaces where you could actually do it. This is something that we're on a mission to make the world more accessible, and technology is definitely helping us in promoting that and making it much more achievable at scale.
I'll be playing a few tunes on Hungarian bagpipes. Most people think of bagpipes as quintessentially Scottish instrument, but in fact there are various types of bagpipes from throughout Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. Hungarian pipes date back probably to about the 1500s, and were at one time a very popular instrument in Hungary before almost dying out and then being brought back.
Errol, thank you so much. Thank you so much for recording that and putting the time to produce it and to play it. It's amazing.
Thank you for the opportunity.